Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Tukul session number 22. And this is the third one in 2022, right? So it's a pleasure to have all of you back in the Tukul. And as we usually do, we start with the topic of the night, and then we give it our thoughts. And everybody tonight is going to be a speaker. We don't have lead speakers tonight, right? So it's a different approach. So feel free to contribute to the conversation. The topic that we are talking about today is a kind of slippery one, right? Maybe we talk about this once in a while, maybe or in the 365 days we have in the year, maybe we talk about this thing 2 or 3 times, or sometimes we might be talking about it, but then really not consciously, right? So we thought we would talk about the unconscious biases that we go through all the time in our society, in our family relations, in our career, at school, in the churches, everywhere. As we relate, there are implicit relationships that do not surface, but they really affect how we view the world, what opportunities we get, how people treat us, how we treat people, So those biases sometimes are hidden. That's why we have the title unconscious for them. But they determine a lot how things really turn out in our daily lives. Oh yeah. So I'm going to use the same title, unconscious biases. I got it from an author called Dolly Koo. Dolly is a PhD, like she is a PhD in the studies of human brain, and her work was basically to uncover these unconscious biases, and it's come out in a book called How Good People Fight Biases, and the Person You Mean to Be. That is the subtitle of the book. Oh yeah. So one thing that really hit me hard is that an average human brain will process 11 million pieces of information per second. All right. Out of all these 11 million pieces of information, only 40 pieces are running into the human brain at a conscious level. Like what the hell? You can imagine there are 11,000 unconscious pieces of information, not necessarily coordinated thoughts, right? But some random pieces of information per second. And 40 of those are conscious. So you can see how much is going on unconsciously in our brain. And sometimes this unconscious information gives us, we get bytes of information from there. We get cumulative information about certain people, about a person, about a group, about things, certain things, So there now you might find our opinions, our thoughts, our worldview are based on that unconscious bias that we have. Oh yeah. So there is a test. I just did the test, by the way. It's called AIT. So the test is called implicit association test. This implicit association test measures how much we are unconsciously associating things into a certain direction, not necessarily the truth. That's why we will have the word bias around that, right? So the IAT test to me was a big surprise. I will share my results with you later, right? So like these random things, 11 million thoughts run into our head, 40 of them consciously, but then there's a way you can objectively measure this and be surprised. What? Even people who are known to be very objective, people who are running human rights organizations, people who are like the feminists we have in this country, the human rights activists and things like that, if they run the IAT test, they are always surprised of at what, how do they unconsciously associate certain things. But then this is how it affects our lives. Most times there are chances that come to us at work, there are chances that come to us even in the family, by the way, and there are chances that come to us in the society. But because of all these biases, we tend to miss or unfairly get them or things like that. Oh yeah. And sometimes we also form information. There are certain things we associate with women. There are certain tasks we associate with men, and then these also come with privileges, by the way, right? So like all these kind of random thoughts is what I went through. I was like, wow, this is something we can actually throw and then share how people have experienced or you have thrown unconscious, then later maybe become conscious, if you can remember it, biases, towards other people, or maybe people throwing it to you. Yeah. So basically, this is what we are going to be talking about today. And if time will allow, I'll share with you my IAT result. And you'll be surprised. I was equally surprised, right? Oh yes. So talk about biases. I just want us to open up if you have any bias that somebody might have thrown to you, or you see where you work, you see where you go to school at, you see where you relate with people. This is actually the opportunity for us to share. I really want to hear some of the biases, right? And I'll share mine too. Oh yeah. So let me open it up at this point. If you have a point, guys, just raise your hand as we usually do. We'll open your mic and then you share your point. That's it. Don't be shy. Now you guys can do this. Still a quiet room, right? Yes, Majok. Take Majok and then I go to Sidonia based on how you raise your hands. Yes, yes, Majok, take it up.
Thanks, terrible today. I don't know that I will be able to finish up or not. If it cuts in the middle, please, I apologize for inconveniences.
No problem.
Yeah, but let me try. Actually, you brought up a very good topic, John. Thank you so much. And these are the things that we are suffering day and night. But we don't know that these things are happening to us, to our sisters, brothers, and everybody. So, yeah, so this issue of unconscious biases is something that you cannot hide, and it is always there in our society.
Yeah.
I always have a lot of experience.
I'm losing you, Majok. Your voice is fading out again.
It's like some point when you're doing a recruitment, especially when you are a hiring manager, competing with the female ladies, and maybe the project is mentally.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was talking about I was talking about the certain types of
Yes.
consciousness that I know. Yeah, one of them is a gender bias.
Yes.
Gender bias is, it's like when you are doing a recruitment, especially, it's always a challenge. You might find that the position is supposed to balance the gender balance in the organization, and then a gentleman competes with the gentle ladies.
Yes.
And then maybe, obviously, a man is the best candidate. But because the project requirement is for a woman to balance the equation.
I'm losing you, Majok.
It's always very difficult for a people. It is a gender bias. It is something required. So it's one of the most biases that I always attend, and I always know.
I think Majok's line is breaking again. Okay.
Also,
Oh yeah, Major, we're losing you for a few seconds. Actually, I've lost him now. Maybe I'll give him back the mic when he's back, right? And Sidonia, earlier you had raised your hand. If you would like to continue, please pick it up. Yeah.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, I had raised my hand before to talk about the unconscious biases that we have. Had you and other participant, Majok, had said, it's something that we do sometimes when we're unaware. For me, I would give like an example. There was one time I was implemented now in the process of talking to the authorities, and then someone turned and talked to the driver, and was asking more about the project and everything. So the driver was like, "Oh, sorry, I do not have much information about it. Maybe you should talk to this girl."
Yes.
So, and the person actually turned to talk to me, and at the back of the mind of the person, it was an unconscious bias that could not let him talk to me directly, because one thing is that he looked at my age, he looked at my gender, and he looked at my body. Because in this society, if you're big, if you're big in size, they think you're the right person. If you're also a woman, or maybe you should be maybe an elderly woman. So according to him, he looked at me and thought there was no way I would be the one doing this. And to me, that is where I think the unconscious biasness come in. Because according to him, in the back of his mind, it tells him that a leader should be someone who is manly, who is a man, and who is also, because mostly people associate, leadership, or they associate proper skills to men. So according to him, there was no way, like the femininity in us sometimes make people think less of us having to take up roles, that are more in the leadership position. And this is something we cannot, people do not do it intentionally. This is something sometimes we cannot avoid. And and even in the workplace, sometimes people are more likely, to listen, to want to be led by men, because they feel like they feel the masculinity, they feel the energy. So they feel like when the man is your boss, you feel like, yeah, I have a boss. But when he's a woman, you're likely to have some biases, though you may not show them due to fear of other things. You're likely to, to be would want to have a man that is your boss than you would want to have it as a woman. And that is one thing that I see that usually come as a bias. Another thing that I think always come as a bias is how we also think about it in race, Usually when you have conversation with people, they'll be like, we are not Kawajat, we have some biases in the back of mind that think of the white people to the extent that sometimes when we do something, we tell people, no, you're not a white person. How do you do that, It's because we have our own understanding, or we have our own biases about them, or how they do their thing. And it is all an assumption. Something could be true, something could not. But this is not only us. Even like also white people would be like, a black person, they have their own biases about black people. So I think it's something that we cannot avoid, and it's something we experience every day. And decisions that we make sometimes are based on what we think or what we perceive about other people. I'm going to stop there. I've talked too much.
Wow. You killed it there, man. I think it should have been our main speaker for the night. We should have put it in the poster like
No way.
going to be our main. Yeah, man. I like your contribution right there, Sidonia. And good examples right there. Maybe I can share mine quickly. Same thing, man. Like there was a time I was posted in the field, and I worked in the field actually more like almost 8 years. And one thing that really that remained with me all the time. Like if we go out to meet the communities, I would have colleagues who would look like the boss, like the I don't know, not really the boss, but let me say like the team leaders, like people that the community will look up and be like, these are they, like Nasmo Swelin, And then there'll be like some of us, then they'll look like, no, we don't, not that category. And then when they begin to do formal introduction, things will turn around, and people will begin to realize like new dynamics in the group. It has always come like several times, And even at checkpoints, if you are driving in, like, let's say in a car and you sit in a certain way, like maybe like a colleague who in the mind of the police doesn't look like the team leader sits in front, you might not get to the other side of the checkpoint. But if you bring this colleague who in their mind would look like this is the boss, let's say like a colleague who has some weight and something, the way they do here in Southern Zolindusa, sit in front, you come to the checkpoint, they'll just give you a salute and then say go, like this is it. And I'll be like, why does it happen this way all the time? Anyway, that was like years back. Let me hear from you guys. I really want to hear from you guys. So feel free, guys, raise your hands and open your mic and talk to us. Oh yeah, it's going out once. Yes, Alfred.
Yeah, Ngong, thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Yeah, initially, with organizations and companies,
yes,
we have unconscious bias normally affects the company or the organization.
Right.
Some of the few things that normally affects the organizations are tribalism. Tribalism also can cause unconscious bias in an organization. We have also this sexism, right, where you categorize people based on their gender, that's male, female. So this one also affects a company or an organization. We have this issue of racism, which we have said, that we normally categorize that if this person is a white person, means he's a right person. Right. And this one is a black person, then this person might not be right. So unconscious bias can affect organizations in few outline bulletins. One, in recruitment process, it can affect, because therefore you can select someone who is not a fit or a qualified candidate for the position. It also affects in screening. Yes. Screening of a candidate. Like for example, if you are screening, therefore I can say I take Ngong because I worked with him in an organization, but he does not meet some of the criteria to qualify for the position. Right. So there, unconscious bias get involved. Also, it affects performance. I can take you for the position, but therefore you cannot perform for the position. Right. So you cannot meet what actually we need from you to fit in that position. So I think these are the few things I can contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. Really, really valuable contribution right there. Yeah. So guys, let's continue to talk. So if you have a point, just raise your hand and we'll pick it up from there. But as you continue to think, I give you guys more think time. One thing that came up actually is that there are some privileges that would go to certain people just because they associate themselves with them, with power because of what they are. Let us say people who have material wealth. Let me say somebody who has money. That person in most societies is likely to be associated with power. And you wonder where does that even come from? You know, like if you go to functions and then some rich person shows up, you guys be ready for it. They will begin to say his name, they will begin to give him a special or her a special seat. And then all of a sudden you'll find, oh, what happened? Like this is completely irrelevant. It could be like let's say go into a community meeting, and then there was already a said protocol. But then all of a sudden somebody comes. That person who is a tycoon will be given some power. All of a sudden you wonder where does the person get the authority from? You know, and the person might even expect that because he or she is a rich person would begin to have some privileges. This goes down the same way, even at work. Sometimes there are some jobs you will expect maybe it's only the white people are doing this, or maybe it's male, and maybe it's male of certain age, you know, and sometimes This happens, by the way, even in communities that have mixed races. Let's say a community like the American community. If you see a black man, you begin to take more caution, especially at certain places. You might associate a black man with violence, guns, and some wayward behavior. But if you see a white person, there's no danger, implied. This actually came out in the research that Dolly did in the same book that I quoted earlier, and it did not surprise her, because all these associations actually people move around with all this. Even black people, they associate black people with more danger, and white people associate white people with privileges and a bit of humanity and let me say, like, being close to the human characteristic, and no danger associated to that. Yeah. So sometimes you wonder, what is this? And then one thing that stood out actually in my review of this particular thought is that sometimes, even if you do the right thing, people can still judge you by the way. Let's say if a woman is the boss and she is hiring people and she hires another woman, they'll say, this person is actually hiring women because she is a woman, And if you hire someone from your community, however competent that person is, they'll say, you actually hired this person. At the back of their mind, they'll say, you hired this person because you come from the same community, or you maybe both of you are Christians, or maybe both of you maybe are black people or something like that. They will find a way. They will find a category to put you there. And then if that was to be examined, it might turn out to be like, no, this is actually the most competent person. Not necessarily because we come from the same category or identity or something like that. All right, I'll give you the pause. And I see the young hands up. Young, how are you doing?
I am good, thank you, Ngong. How are you?
Welcome to the Tukun, man.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I came late. I got caught up on the other side of the river.
Oh, I get it.
Yes, and I didn't have credit to inform you early. I just got.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So thank you to each and everyone here. This has been a topic I really wanted to listen to, but then it's good enough. It's being recorded. I will have your contributions on the other on our YouTube. Now,
cool.
However, what I want to put in here is we have what the unconscious bias, and then what came into my mind was the name Ngong. Yeah, I remember when I first met you, I thought you were from Bor.
Yeah, man. Thanks for bringing that up.
And I believe everybody has been thinking the same.
Yes.
So to me, I think there's a name bias.
Yes.
Like you hear a name and you be like, no, he cannot be from that side. He must be from my side, or he must be from this side.
Yes.
And there's where we usually say, he's just a child. He cannot do this. And then you are expected to say certain things, not certain things, simply because you are young.
Yes.
So there comes in age something, I do not know how to put it, but I believe it also exists. And then there are people like I have sat down with a lot of people. I've talked to them, and there is where one person comes up with a topic that interests them. Like, you have to give out your views, and you want people to conform to it.
Yes.
Like to me, I think we as youth also have that in our minds. It could not just be youth. Everybody has that. Like you want people to agree to what you're saying. So those are the things that have been battling in my mind that I really wanted to share. And I believe, to me, I think at some point there are biases.
Right.
So that is what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Dion, and thank you for bringing up the example that includes my name. So I can tell you a small experience. This is what happened. So a colleague at work called me on phone. We never met physically, but we have been working together through these emails and Zoom meetings and stuff like that, right? So one evening, the colleague called me and asked me like if I come from a certain community in a certain place, right? In his mind, he thought I was actually from there, and I told him I am not from there. And he was so surprised that no way, there's no way you would not be from there. And this name of yours.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's crazy, man. Like I like it sometimes. If it happens and I get to know it, like this is a bias. Oh, I really like it that way. But it happens. Yeah, cool.
It happens. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Sidonia, I see your hand is back. Welcome back.
Yes. Just to add, I'm not going to talk too much. It's like these biases of naming. So it's like also for me, I think I've had that experience a lot, because of my name also. It's like sometime when I go maybe interact out with people and then people start speaking to me in their dialect. And I'm like, I look at them, I'm like, sorry, I'm not getting. And someone will be like, no, there's no way you're not getting,
Yeah, yes.
This is like, this is another thing also that I think is also another bias that we experience. Another thing is also, I think, is the things that we do, now with the current world, with the change in the society and with how we are evolving. So it's like I go to a meeting and then after the meeting, people are not supposed to, to have a drink, and then I get invited.
Your line is fading.
Oh no.
Yeah. Your line is fading for a second. If you're hearing us, then you come back.
I do not take this drink. And then someone said, or I lost you guys.
No. We had lost you for a few seconds, but please take it out from the drink story there. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, Donia, go ahead.
No, yes, I was saying like, and someone was like, no, how can you not sing? Actually, I don't know if you guys are not.
Yeah, go ahead. We are hearing you very well now. Okay. Every time I say I'm hearing you, I lose you.
Off, I think it doesn't actually mean from there. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop there just to say that.
Okay, now I can hear you very well, but you're stopping again. It's crazy, right? Okay. All right, then thanks again, Sidonia. We would still come back. This is like an ongoing.
Please leave the platform for the others to try. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I see Stan, and then I'll go to Bida and back to Ajang. These are the hands I see up right now. Stan?
Thank you very much, John. I just wanted to mention, I think maybe carrying on from what Majok was saying, I think from just on the workplace here in South Africa, we've got what we call the gender quota. So I think in all, especially the managerial position, we're trying to balance the gender, that we have 50-50%, especially because women makes a large part of the population. Okay. But another the gender of the gays and the lesbians and all of this, because it's also here recognized for so I think that is also something that is also starting to be recognized in religion and other platforms, but unconsciously, something that we do where we bias against either against or for gender, and I think it's something natural that even when you get into a bus and then the lady comes and you will stand up consciously or unconsciously and saying offer the seat because you feel the lady cannot stand. So it is two ways. It's polite to do so because then somebody will say, "Oh, John, what a gentleman," but then somebody you think that this woman is weak. Who said that woman can't stand for the journey. So and there has to be, balances there. But I think we see it everywhere in queues, in many areas. And then there are also other areas where we are a little bit impolite when facing women. For example, in the road rage, sometimes we expect women to yield, even if they've got a right way. And then I think also in other places, I know especially in the Arab countries, that men will come and just go of the queue and then immediately just take over because there's laws that are embedded, could be Sharia law or other things that recognize men more than women. But I think that is in the workplace. I think because we're striving to have the balances, and I think that's where we try to put in the quotas, and think I think it is going to be a long way to go, because especially if things are embedded in our subconscious, it will be to recognize certain things as either being polite or being polite. It will be naturally for other people to say, no, she's weak, or all of those things. But I think that is how it is, and I think some of the elements that I've mentioned are experiences that I've seen, and I'm hoping to hear how what our other colleagues are going to say. Thank you very much, John, and the colleagues.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you very much. Dion, I see your hand is back.
Yes, Ngong.
Yes.
Thank you again for the chance. There's what Stein just said about, it is in the category of gender bias. The aspect of you doing a thing for a female gender simply because you might think they are weak or something. So that is totally true. I agree to that. There was a time my sister offered to open the gate. Somebody was driving in, and then everybody shouted, "Hey, how can you allow your sister open the gate?" I was like, "What's wrong with that?" And everybody looked at me with the face. Yes. So that I agree, it's totally true.
Yeah.
And then there's a point Sidonia brought up earlier where you go out and people expect you to drink, like.
Yes. Yeah.
Now in my community, there's where I come from, it's Kongor. People believe everybody that comes from there or somebody that is above the age of 18 should be drinking.
Okay.
Now, and every time I go out with friends, because it is believed that specific community is known for drugs.
Oh.
So okay. everybody tells me, every time I tell them I don't want to drink and I do not actually drink. And they'll be like, "Yo, which part of Congo are you? Like, this is your thing. How come you don't do it?"
Yes.
So that is what I wanted to compliment on. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Dion. Bida, I'm giving you the mic.
Thank you, John. I hope you're having a good time there, and also the rest of the people on board.
Absolutely.
Some biases also happen, I think, because of like the profile we keep in a particular society. For instance, we have people like this gentleman called this Edmond Yakani, this activist who is the executive director for the Community Empowerment for Progress organization. Like this is a guy this is a guy like who has worked who has brought up his organization like for several years, and people believe he has money. But Yakani is a person like when he dresses, like he doesn't overdress, and like he does not even drive. Sometimes, in most cases, he walks or he takes a border, like goes to work. So like most people when they see him, like people who have not seen him before, when they see him, they don't believe like this is the Yakani we've been hearing about
on the radio.
Like that, and so forth. Like people make a lot of comments about him. So like this is like something that happens because of the profile that he keeps in the society. And also like this profile that we also keep sometimes can put us at a safer side in certain cases. Yeah. Yeah. So like and then other things are like when you express opinions, like what De Jong said earlier. Like most people, like when they share ideas or maybe on social media and so forth, like they feel people should agree. Like once you disagree, and then collage. Some of them may block you.
I get it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and also like sometimes like for the past 2 years, in most cases, I'm always online. Like online, like I'm always like most of the time I'm online, and then my reply rate is a bit quick. So people ask me, like what time do you work? Like you're always online.
Yes.
Yeah, what time? What time? Like do you? I always tell them I work. Just sometimes you come online and I'm online. So that is why maybe you think that I don't work, because in most cases I'm online. So some of these biases come as a result of the lifestyle we live, and also because of the profile that we keep in the society. But like in some cases it might keep us at a safer end, and also in some cases it might somehow.
That's so true there. Thanks a lot, Vida, for bringing that up. Actually, one way earlier we talked about the issue of cumulative information. Like we keep getting bits of information about certain things, or maybe certain people, or maybe certain position. So that goes on over time, So to the point, once you hear this, you associate it with that. Like I can run a simple experiment right now. If I release some words, you will definitely have an association to them. Let me say I say the word bishop, and then there's a meaning. I'm quite sure if we were to open our mics, you will have things that are associated with a bishop, right? Or maybe I pick another word totally different, and I say shopkeeper. There are some thoughts that we associate with the shopkeeper, or maybe some things with like maybe a mother. Like all those things just come unconsciously, automatically. We associate them with those people. We would expect a mother to be like this, and be like this, and do certain roles. If she doesn't do, be like, what kind of mother is she? Or for example, if a bishop steals funds from the church, we would say, what kind of bishop is he? So once we begin to ask, what kind of bishop is he? We are already confronting the unconscious biases that we had about a bishop, where we think like a bishop will not steal funds from the church, a bishop will not slap someone, a bishop will not, I would say, he will not take somebody's wife. It happens, right? So if those things happen, we'll be like, what kind of bishop is he? Yeah. So sometimes they say, what kind of girl is this shit? Or what kind of man is this? Because at the back of our mind, we have a picture of what a man should be, or what a girl should be, or what a bishop should be doing, or what is the behavior code acceptable for a bishop, So like if we confront those things, sometimes we are head on with our biases. One thing I learned about biases is that they cannot be eliminated as much. They cannot vanish overnight. We try always to be conscious. One way is to be conscious about them, or sometimes to transcend those biases. But I think just being conscious really helps us a lot. Imagine I talk about the 11 million pieces of information. 11 million pieces of information passing through your brain in 1 second. That's a lot of information pieces, right? That's so much. But only 40 of those are going consciously. So if we have 1,000 biases in our heads, but then we become conscious, maybe this year we are conscious of like 20 of them, and then we increase our level of consciousness to 30, and we go to 100, then we might find we are fighting some of those biases, right? So I could not learn on a certain way of fighting biases for sure, by the way, apart from trying to be conscious and increase our level of consciousness around them. That's been crazy. And then one thing I also learned about biases is that no country, no society will say we don't have biases. No individual will say I don't have any biases. No, that is really proved wrong by the test that I said. It's being managed by Harvard. It was actually developed by like 3 people in Harvard. And what they did, the test is called implicit association test. Guys, you can do it online for free. I just did it today. It was fun. Can I show you my results before we clock off? Or will it speak too much about myself? Actually, this is like my private. Somebody went into my head and generated that information and showed me my result. I was shocked how I was associating some of these things unconsciously. Maybe I'll not show it here. It will say much about me. Right? Yeah, but it's crazy. So you guys, yeah. If you have the chance, maybe let me share the link here. Let me share the link right here. Right here comes the link in the chat. Throw it here in the chat.
You can go on.
Yes, I'm sharing the link with you guys. Yeah, that's the link right there. Implicit. They call it Project Implicit, but the test is called Implicit Association Test. Like how you unconsciously associate certain things, right? Yeah. So if you get the opportunity, log into that link, do the test, and share your results next week with us. I would really love to see how yours ended. Mine almost ended in tears. I was so shocked. Yeah, maybe Natalina, if you would like to share with us some of the biases that you go through. I know you live in a different country. You don't live in South Sudan here, as per our last discussion. But if you are in another country, what kind of biases do you usually have in those places? Maybe you would like to share some of those.
Hello, guys. Good afternoon.
Hi, Natalina. You're welcome.
Yeah, nice to meet you once again. Well, actually, I would like to share the most biases here in Egypt. For example, like when you meet an Egyptian and, like you're Black, that's mean, oh, wow, you're from Africa. You know what? You're dealing with animals. Like they're like, I'm sorry, like they're thinking like, because you're Black, that's means you know nothing about anything in this life except just how to, like you can't read, you can't whatever do, you don't know anything about anything. I don't know how to explain it actually. But yeah, but the most common biases here in Egypt, like you're Black, that means you're uneducated person, whatever. So it's like everything. Are you eating like us? Like you're from Africa, of course, because they think themselves they're not from Africa. So it's like, okay, yeah, this is the truth here. So it's like, oh, you're from Africa, so you know how to wear like us? Do you have really there in Africa? Africans, they don't have like homes like our homes. They don't. Are you eating like what we eating and so on? Like for real, like they have just because you're Black. That means you like anyone. Africa's like what they see in movies sometimes, that's National Geographic movies, when a Black person running with an animal, whatever.
Right.
Jungle. Exactly. This is the most common biases here. And what I face with our communities here, because like I'm short and from my shape, I'm look like from Equatoria, Kakwa or Kuku. So one day I met someone, he said, hey girl, why you don't share with the community here? Why you don't show up and so on? I said, which community you talking about? Say, oh, you're from Kuku, right? I said, no, I'm not from Kuku. But no. How that comes? You really look like from Kuku girl. Say no, I'm not. Say why you just don't want to come? Just tell me if you don't want to share with the community. If you don't want to, if you don't want to involve with the community here, but you don't have to. Like you don't have to say you don't have like to just ignore your community and so on and say. Believe me, I'm not from Kuku. I'm not from Equatoria. Even I'm from Upper Nile. Say how that comes. look at your face, look at your shape. You look total like from Kuku. I said, no, sorry, I'm not from Kuku. And my friend, she's the one from Kuku because she's tall and so on. I said, this is the one from Kuku. She said, no, she could not be from Kuku. Maybe she's from Dinka, from where? Look at this height and this shape. This is not Kuku shape. I said, oh, really?
Wow.
So it happens. A lot of things. Like all of us, we go through these biases, and
it's crazy.
It's part of our life. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Natalina. Awesome perspective there. It just reminded me of a story of like white kids coming to Nairobi with their parents, and then at the airport, like at the airport, they begin to ask their parents, where are the animals? Where are the lions? They said, no, you're still at the airport. I said, no, but we're already in Africa. In Africa, by the time you land in Africa, you see animals and things like that. Imagine these are like young kids.
Exactly, because that's what the society, that's like, the society, and that what they have there. Like Black people, it's associated, or Black color is associated with jungles, animals, and so on.
Right, right, true. Thanks so much. Sidonia, I give it back to you.
Yes, just to complement what Natalina said, like these vices, they usually exist. It's like, for instance, maybe you meet with a white person and then you speak to them and they find like, they are able to understand you fluently and your language is fluent. They'll be like, oh, you're so articulate, That is not a compliment. Yes. This is because in the back of their mind, they do not expect you to be articulate in how you express yourself, or they do not expect you that you have a knowledge of the language. So they would expect you to be making mistakes. So when you do not make mistakes, they're like, oh, you're so articulate. So if in the back of your mind, or the human part of you will think like, oh, this is a praise. Someone is praising me. He or she thinks that I speak good English. But actually what they mean deep down in their heart is that you should not be speaking like this because you're an African and you do not speak English. So sometimes this is also another vice that we take as a compliment, but it is not a compliment. Someone is just telling you that you should not be articulate. But if you're articulate, then it comes as a surprise. And it is also another unconscious vice that they do. It comes unknowingly.
Right.
They do not know that they're being biased when they say that. It just come out unconsciously and they're like, oh, you could speak better and you shouldn't. So this is another thing that I wanted to add into what Natalina was saying. Natalia, I think. Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sidonia. Actually, wow, that's a good point there, right? But it has happened a lot. Like if some of us go to Kenya and you begin to speak Swahili with them, they'll be like, what? They'll begin to want to translate some words to you and be like, no, I know this thing. And then they talk to you and then you begin to talk back. And you talk back with more confidence and be like, what? Because they would expect like a typical South Sudanese, no Kiswahili. Like recently I was just chatting with a friend of mine and we have been chatting for like 2 years now and he didn't even know that I would speak Swahili. So I texted back one word and he hit back and then we chat again in Kiswahili. Was like, this is the least I expected of you. I was like, what? I could speak Swahili, but I could write it. Like, yeah, so good point there, Sidonia. I really appreciate it. Hey, thank you guys. Really appreciate your contribution. I think this has been a wonderful conversation. If you want us to have part 2 of this, we could do it at some time. And that's why we have the Tukul, man. And Tukul is always open. Guys, if you have any talking point that you would like to bring on board, right here, it belongs to this space. All right. So let's keep talking to one another. And I think we have heard from all of us in the room here. Maybe if anybody has one more point, could give it like closing shots, and then we call it a night. That's been a wonderful session for me. Yeah. It's going once, going twice. It's gone for the night. Okay. Thank you guys. It has been another wonderful Tukul session, and we're going to share it in all our platforms as we usually do. Yeah, most likely, like our safest place now is YouTube, and people have been reaching out to us again. Yeah. So find us on our YouTube space. It's called Tukul School.
Have a nice evening.
All right. Thanks, Dana. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, John. Let's also include people with disabilities in the coming talks, John. Maybe topics on them as well.
Okay. Yeah. Quite open to that. Thank you guys. So yeah, have a good night.